Hello everyone, and welcome to Silent Hill 2. I know this is quite the surprise, but the bug bit me because I have been working on my Silent Hill research and it's been a while since I dove into the games, so we're gonna do that today. Hello everybody, sorry if I missed you, there's lots of names. I see Faku says that the Spanish-speaking group is taking over. That seems to be true. I only ask your lenience that I failed your language in college 3 times. Please be gentle with my understanding of your language when you take over. I'll be the ambassador. I think ambassadors are supposed to be able to speak the language, but Spanish quite literally made me spend another semester in college. I was in college for 5 years, because you're required to learn a language. And I'm hard of hearing with hearing, what do they call it? I can't even remember the word. Processing disorders. My dad literally only graduated from college. He has the same issue, had the same issue. He only graduated from college because for like a handful of years they took away the language requirement and he slid under there. And I did not get away with that. It took 3 years to convince them that my disability was serious enough that I could not learn a foreign language. So I got to take like global literacy or something.
Mary, could you really be
Hello,
in this
new
town?
folks joining us. Aw, you bought my books? Thank you so much. Hey, Billy. Oh, man. James is, he's popping out of existence. This is an emulated game on a PS3, which we've done before, but we've not done with this game, so I guess we'll see how well this particular game runs.
I see that town. Silent Hill.
Couldn't possibly be
Here
true.
we are once again. In
That's what
Toluca
I keep
Lake,
telling myself.
which is a place in England, apparently.
Big
Just a
person
photograph
can't
they
run
lifted
better.
from the internet. I love that. And you can tell, actually, that it
Thank
is,
God
now that I know
damn
that,
disease
that
3
it is
years
just a
ago.
photograph of a place in England.
So then, why am I looking for
And something I discovered today. I am reading and researching and all that today.
special place?
That's all I've been working on, Aztec Myth, all
That she
that.
made?
I think I mentioned in the Toluca video that
This whole town is
Toluca
our special
possibly
place.
comes from the word Tolucan, which,
she mean
one of the
park on the
research,
lake?
I had only read very little at the time on Aztecs, I didn't own
We
a lot of
spent
books
the
on
whole
it,
day there.
said place of Tolo, which was a god.
Just the two
Actually,
of us, staring at the
Tolocan is the general term for the one of the
Mary
Aztecs'
really be
heavens.
there?
There's 13 of them. A lot of this info changes
She
based
really
on
alive?
who you're talking to and what book, you know, because the myths vary
Waiting for me.
depending on who wrote them down. You know, they changed over time, so it's kind of hard to nail down what certain things meant or what they are. But Tolucan apparently means place of the gods. Toluca, place of the gods. Fascinating. So yeah, we're gonna be digging in deep here. Thought it was related to the capital of Estado de Mexico. Well, the capital, Mexico City's built on the old Aztec capital, if I remember right, which was built on a lake, the same way that this city kind of was. And apparently they had, like, a temple that was a very high pyramid that they did all their rituals on, kind of like how Silent Hill has the, you know, the island in the middle of the lake with the church. And now we're here in the fog. Ooh, I love it. And there's the dogs! The only game without any dog enemies, and yet we hear the dogs in the woods. That just, it screams Dante to me. I've talked about that too, that, you know, Dante Alighieri wrote about how he was lost midway in life's journey in a wood, and he comes across 3 animals. One of which was a lion, one was a panther, and one might have been a dog. I don't think it was. Might have been. But dogs are totally the animal of the underworld. He is descending into hell here. Here in Mexico is a state surrounding the city called Mexico State, and its capital is Toluca. Ooh, yeah, Toluca is a lake, isn't it, in that area? I've still been looking it up, but I think the last book I read mentioned that it's got a lot of lakes, and they lived in a kind of marshy, swampy area, and I think Toluca was one of the lakes, and then it came from Tolucan. Yes, they did, Akatsuki's right, they did call the city the Venice of the West before they fucking ruined it. Which, honestly, the history's muddled because, of course, a lot of recordings and stuff got destroyed. But it's actually possible that it was more of a civil war that the Spaniards took advantage of. where it wasn't necessarily the Spanish or the Spaniard military conquering them so much as they brought illnesses that made things suck for everyone, and then rival groups that didn't want the Aztecs to be, you know, their overlords anymore said, hey, we're gonna fight. And the Spaniards said, cool, we will take over your country in the aftermath. Fuck. Anyway. My girl. Oh. My poor girl. Ugh. This cutscene is so beautiful. And fucked. It's so fucked. Oh, my beautiful child. Let me save you. What is happening to the chat?
Oh,
why is it doing that? I thought I fixed that.
No, it's okay.
I think it does
I
that
didn't mean to
sometimes
scare
when it wants to refresh, but I
I'm kind of
thought I
lost.
turned off the refresh setting. Sorry. No idea why it's freaking out.
lost?
Yeah, I don't know what's up with that. It's not
Yeah.
supposed to do that.
I'm looking
I will
for
have
a
to look at
silent
that
hill.
afterward.
Is this the right way?
Yeah. It's hard to see with this fog, but there's only the one road.
And look, the
You
freaking
can't miss
graveyard's sinking right into the water.
Thanks.
I love it.
it. But
My family actually has
Yes?
a family graveyard. My dad's
think
in a
you'd better
small
stay
town
away.
out to the countryside. We have a family graveyard that's sinking into
This,
a big marsh, and my mom said, no, we're not being buried here, I'm sorry.
This
It's
town-
not happening.
there's something wrong with it. It's kind of hard to explain, but
Is
Yeah,
it
I don't know what's going on,
dangerous?
chat. Do I need to just turn you off?
and it's
Good
not
lord.
just
It
the
seems like it's gone back to
fog
normal.
either.
No, it's
Okay,
not.
I
Okay,
got
we're
it.
turning it off. Where
I'll
is...
be careful.
I'm not lying.
No,
Oh.
I believe you. It's
It's
just
so clear that nobody
I
has
guess
ever
I really
listened
don't
to or
care
respected
if
her.
it's
I'm
dangerous
not
or not.
lying.
I'm going to town.
And
either
yet
way.
she has the most normal reason for entering town. She
But
says she's looking
why?
for her mama. And theoretically, according to the
I'm looking
novelization,
for
her mom left
someone.
her and her dad and brother and
Who is
moved to
it?
Silent Hill. So theoretically, her mom could be alive. She could
Very
be looking for a
important to me.
normal living person.
I'd do
Yet she
anything
knows
if I could be
something's
with her
wrong with
again.
the town.
Me too. I'm looking for my mama. I mean my mother. It's been so long since I've
It
seen
never
her.
occurred to me to wonder why. Was she maybe a local that knew the reputation of the area?
I thought my father and brother
Hello,
were here,
Chris
but
Amity. Thanks for joining
I can't
us.
find them either.
I think yes, she is 19. I think originally she was going to be younger, but the
sorry.
voice actress's work,
It's
they
not
really
your
liked
fault.
it and felt like it kind of
I
came across as a
hope you
little
find it.
older, so they changed
yeah,
the age.
you too.
I love the legs just disappearing. I don't know why that keeps happening. And I don't think you can edit game graphics settings in this old of a game. I don't know, but can we read any of these? I don't think you can read any of the gravestones, which seems like seems sad, given you can read them later. How creepy would that have been to end up in the graveyard in Toluca prison and have the same gravestone show up? Oof. I'm just gonna come over and breathe on you.
What is it?
Oh, nothing. Sure is quiet here, huh?
She's like, what
I
the?
guess.
She's like, you're such a weirdo. Oh man. I wonder, did she say anything else? Reeds are like a water plant, right? They are very big in Aztec mythology, and the goddess of Silent Hill is referred to as the Lord of Serpents and Reeds. And that's both like big Aztec things. Reading up on Aztec lore has revealed a lot about Silent Hill. Holy shit. They really did take quite a lot from it. Christianity too, but we'll dig into that next episode. So fun story. Talking about how Aztec lore may have influenced this game. There is a myth in Aztec mythology that involves a major goddess who appears in Silent Hill. Sometimes her daughter's the one that's in the myth, sometimes it's her, but she's the goddess of fornication and sin, basically. She's goddess of a lot of things. She is the goddess of fucking shit up and then saying, hey, sorry I fucked shit up, my bad. And in one of the myths, there's this really pure man who, like, has dedicated his life to the gods, and the gods are like, okay, well, let's test that. And they send a bunch of sexy ladies to him, and he's not tempted. And then the goddess of, the sex and fun times shows up and tempts him and wins. And so the gods are like, well, how dare you? You failed us. We're turning you into a scorpion. And they turned him into a scorpion, and now we have scorpions. And I just, the goddess in that myth is the goddess that appears on James's template in the prison. And I just kind of had to immediately think of Maria and how she's created, or sent really, to tempt James as a kind of test. And this goddess is literally the goddess of adultery. And if the people that commit adultery are meant to prostrate and confess to her, and then they're killed for it. Like, that is a punishable offense, and that's why a lot of men would confess very late in their lives. And after those people were killed, they would actually create idols of this goddess to kind of honor the adulterer that was part of their family that died. Kind of like, oh man, that sucks, you died, but we still love you. Here's a statue. Blood Swamp! Remains of Blood Swamp. I mentioned in the last episode that the Aztecs built their city on a swampy area. They actually chose that. They were called the Crane people because of it, because cranes live in swamps, they live in swamps. And of course they did sacrifices, and so Blood Swamp. And this also says they had sacrifices around this area. And apparently, I think the wiki mentioned that the Blood Swamp monument is close to the building where we first see Pyramid Head, possibly implying he's associated with the Blood Swamp. Maybe an origin place? I don't know. Big J's! I love all the fake signage and stuff in video games, but especially this video game. Let's go to Big J's. Oh, there's that fan again. I know there are people that, like, hack the shit out of these games and can move the camera wherever they want. I want to know how to do that. And I want to go to Baby's closet. Can I come in? I want to go to a baby closet. Yeah, you are major big time dead. And I love that it looks like the corpses very much resemble the monsters, just wearing clothes. A torn memo. I saw those demons. They were there, I'm certain. My friend says he didn't see anything. If that's true, does that mean what I saw was an illusion? But whether the demon that ate demon that ate humans? I don't remember that. That's a fun detail. I don't think we've ever had confirmation of what the monsters in town do besides kill you. Apparently this one eats you. Whether it was a hallucination my mind dreamed up, I know I'm beyond all hope. Isn't Big J? Nah, Hole here is Bar Neely's, which I would love to know what Bar Neely's is a reference to. Like, what is a Neely? Is it a name? Seems they're attracted to light. That's why people who need light are their natural prey. They react strongly to sound. If you want to go on living, you're better off sitting in the dark and staying quiet, but even that probably won't save you. If you're going to fight them, the most important thing is to relax. It's dangerous to fire a gun while you're crazy with fear. Take good aim and squeeze the trigger. Don't forget to finish them off. I think most of those creatures can be killed, even if they are tougher than people. Yeah, I love that theory, Akatsuki. Maybe not necessarily that they are previous Jameses, but that they are previous explorers of the town. That everybody that explores the town is here always, and those are just their previous attempts. Run away. Of course, the one in that one apartment's definitely James. Run away! Run away! Brave Sir James, he bravely ran away! He bravely turned his tail and fled. Ooh, Margaritaville? I didn't know Jimmy Buffett was over here. Does this game still scare me? No. At this point, that bug just glitched through the fence. This game's kind of like an old friend, but it takes a lot to scare me nowadays anyway. I've become very, like, saturated with this series and these games and horror in general. I don't know. I'm kind of numb to it. I live with a very severe anxiety disorder, and these games are actually kind of a distraction from that. So I guess what I'm saying is real life scares me. Video James does not. Not Video James. I've always felt like video games are really great for people with anxiety because they treat fear as an obstacle that you can defeat rather than like something that is just a permanent part of your daily existence. How do you feel about horror taking a turn back towards suspense and psychological thrilling? I feel that's great. I think that's amazing and would love more of that. I I think horror needs variety in general. I don't think all horror should be that, but definitely liking that there's more of a trend towards that, where I think for a little while we kind of, I don't know, fell off of it. HD collection that bad. I feel embarrassed the game was my first... no, see... I think that's most people's feeling on the game, that if it let you play Silent Hill, and if it was the only way that you could access it, then it's fine. But it is definitely not up to the standard of the original games, which is ridiculous that they couldn't make such an old game look better with modern equipment, you know? It's more of a, how could you fuck this up, than a, it's such an embarrassment, you should never touch it, you know? If that's, you know, most people don't have a PS2 or a very expensive copy of Silent Hill 2. So don't feel bad. Like, freaking Silent Hill 2 is like $100 now. All of them are really expensive. Oh, hey, buddy! You chillin'? Just dropping in, say hey, how you doing? Anything in here for me? I love that apparently these apartments were based off apartments that they found in California, which is amazing to me because these don't look like any American apartments I've seen in my entire life. California must be very different compared to the eastern United States, which makes sense. We are considered very, you know, California versus the American Southeast is not the same for sure. Oh, this is the top floor. This doesn't have the flashlight. This is the floor that breathes. No lie. This floor in this building, with the third floor that's like... It sounded just like the top floor of our health building, like where you have to go to see the school psychiatrist in college. And I would have to go sit there and wait for my meetings, because I was kind of mandated some stuff after my dad died as part of, anyway. My grades fell, so they said, go see a doctor, basically. And I'd have to sit there and just listen to this whole thing, and like, oh god, this sounds like I'm in Silent Hill. And that frickin' building was so creepy, too, because nobody was ever there, and half the lights didn't work. It was so empty and weird. Man, she literally has a frickin' halo. Halo, halo! Like, the first physical thing we see that represents Mary has a halo of light. Take the thing. There we go. Hi, hello, how are you? Dead now? Alright, this is lovely. I guess somebody was a sewing person? Sewing, nothing special about it. Well, maybe it was special to the person that owned it, James. A key! Give me. I'm sure nothing horrible will happen. Why do I like Silent Hill 4? It's very surreal and strange in a way that the other games aren't quite.
Ow!
Well, no, the first one definitely is.
Hey,
Silent Hill 1 and 4, I think, have a lot in common in terms of how surreal and strange they are. The dialogue, the presentation comes across as very odd, very Twin Peaksy, which is the easiest way for me to explain why I like these games. 2 and 3 have that element to them, of course, but there's still something a little more grounded in them as opposed to the first and the fourth game. And the fourth game is a lot more kind of open-ended and weird than the first one, in the sense that there's a lot about the fourth game's plot that is never explained or revealed. We have no idea, you know, why Walter's ritual worked, what exactly it does, you know, we don't know where most of his victims came from or who they really were. We don't know a lot about them. We know so little. It's so open for interpretation. Silent Hill 2 makes me saddest, #1 sad game. That's fair. Silent Hill 2 makes me the saddest because it inevitably brings up my own feelings and experience with dealing with terminal illness. both, when I was 10, my grandmother had a stroke and lived with us and needed constant live-in care, and then my father had lung cancer and was terminally ill and needed care for 2 years. So I have a lot of feelings about this game that come from personal experience. I've had a lot of people comment really shitty things, like how Mary was dead the moment that she was ill, because she, I guess the terminally ill don't matter. Fuck that guy. Like, just people who've never experienced being terminally ill or having a family or friend that is terminally ill, like, sit down and just shut up. That is not the proper thing to say. Holy shit. I still can't believe the gall of that person. There's the room with the butterflies, I think, and the hole in the wall. It's one of the only areas that has this weird green ooze that glows. There's a lot of things in this game that glow red, like Pyramid Head and the save points, but there's 1 or 2 places that glow green. One of them is the shower in the hospital. One of them is that hole in the butterfly room, and then there's something out of sight in that room that glows green that you cannot see. And I was really curious what it was. Unfortunately, the camera won't let you look at it. 3 needles stand of 3 different heights, the fat, the tall, and the thin. From slow to fast, they move to the right. Scott rests not on 3, but 15. Alright, so we are now in the clock room, I believe. It's over this way. But we need the clock key, which was in one of the rooms on a shelf. Okay. What's it say on the side? Scars from the past shall remove the nail that stops time. Can't push it yet. Alright, so we gotta go get that key on that shelf. Man, that door sound is really creepy. Alright, I think there might be at least one door that opens up here. Hello, doors. No door. God, it sounds like Darth Vader lives in this hallway. Alright. Oh, the shopping cart with the gun. It baffles me. The number of people that have said things like, oh man, what was it? One guy actually commented, James uses a gun to escape. James couldn't escape Silent Hill without a gun. Social justice fail. How can you not see a gun in a shopping cart as a comment on America? How do you not see this game as anti-gun? Is anti-violence in general. I won't say gun specifically because they don't go all out on, like, talking about gun violence, but the game is about violence. And the gun in the shopping cart's just like, hey, yeah, America's real bad about all that. Oh, man, people are so stupid. The strangest part of that scene is the stolen shopping cart. Like, that's true! Like, bro, why do you have the shopping cart in your apartment? So I guess we put our... So that's the clock key. So now we need to go back to Clock Town. Excuse me, sir? James has a thing with ramming his whole arm in a dubious hole. James has a thing with dubious holes. That is true. So the hour is that way. Mildred is the minute. Second is kind of sideways. Can we examine it? Oh, wow! I didn't realize the clock key has a tiny clock on it. Okay. Maybe the answer is 9 to 10. Oh, yay! Hop a Potato Bot, Silent Hill 4. You definitely should play it, it's so good! I love that game. I definitely find it the most frightening of this series. Definitely. I'm sure that's part of why I love it. Ghosts are not my friend. And the aesthetics are just lovely. My favorite thing in the world that exists, that, like, I don't know why it exists or really the purpose of it, but I love it. There is a 9-minute long commercial for Silent Hill 4. It's one of the creepiest things I've ever seen. And I don't know what, like, you can't air that on a television. It's wild, but you should all go watch it. It's on SilentHillMedia.net, and I'm sure you can Google, like, you know, Silent Hill 4 9-minute long commercial or something. It's so creepy, so good. Like, I could watch that alone and just be like, oh shit. Wow, look at that ass. Why is that monster so stacked? Excuse me, sir. Alright, let's get this key. Where'd it go? Awesome. I wonder why they decided on juice. Why canned juice? James is an ass, man. That's why the monsters have asses. Oh, man. Is that why Pyramid Head has such a nice ass in Dead by Daylight? We've been playing for about an hour, and the cats haven't moved. Oh, no, there he is. Hello, boy. You awake? He do a stretch. He go back to sleep. This is the time of day where they love to sleep. I open the window for them. I cover my bed in a fleece blankie they like. And then they sleep right next to each other. It's super cute. The garbage bag's torn and contents are strewn all over. I got old coin. So we talked earlier about how there was that Aztec myth where an old man, there was a man who was tempted by the gods by succeeding women, and when they finally succeeded, they killed him. I think kind of ties into their feelings on adultery and the goddess that embodies sexual temptation and sin. The idea with her is she is that person that represents sexual excess and all of the darker sides of passion, but she's also the person that you would confess your sins to. Specifically, adultery was the one that you would be killed, executed for, which is why old men would often be the ones to confess at the end of their lives so that they could go into the afterlife free of sin, but they still got to live a long, happy life. So old men were the ones that often would go to this goddess and confess and be executed. And his coin is the old man, which I think I tied it originally to impotency and issues with being able to be sexual, which is possible, but also I liked that connection that in Aztec culture, old men were the ones that were confessing for adultery and being executed for it to the goddess that is on James's tablet in the prison. An old schoolmate of Walter's said he didn't look like the type of guy who would kill kids. I remember before they arrested him, he was blurting out stuff like, he's trying to kill me, he's trying to punish me, the monster, the red devil. I did it, but it wasn't me. Thanks. What do I think about the I did it, but it wasn't me? I think that ties in a lot to the themes of duality in the game. There's this idea of the self and the other, but they're both a part of you. You know, James dissociates, and a part of him is guilty, a part of him is not. Angela has this split where there's a part of her that is really resigned and ready to die, and there's a part of her that's ignoring what happened. And, you know, all the characters are divided in some way between the reality that they're in and what they are willing to face. And I did it, but it wasn't me really identifies with that, you know? The manga is actually done by one of his good friends, and holy shit, I forget how hi. Damn, watching Blue Velvet gives this a whole new meaning. And Masahiro Ito is very determined to say that, like, he really doesn't see this as a sexual assault scene. Even, like, necessarily, I think maybe James sees it that way, because who wouldn't be like, holy shit, this is fucked? But he never really wanted it to be implied to be necessarily a really sexual scene, if I remember the quote right. He has a different way of looking at it. I need to look it back up, because it was a little confusing. Because he is also, there's a language barrier there. Which just led to some really funny things that he's kind of embraced. He has his own memes. I can't remember. It was something about toast. Oh no, wasn't it the fuck? He said something was the fuck, and people like that ran with that, and now that's like his meme that he calls things the fuck. That might have been what it was. I love his Twitter. He's really great. Yeah, they look like they need a nap. Pyramid Head, this is not how you do, you know, post-coital cuddling. You gotta take care of your partner, you know, wipe them down, offer some water, make sure they're in the right headspace. What if they drop? You know, this is not a healthy way to be a sexual partner, Pyramid Head. I'm very disappointed. You really disappointed me. Granted, as much as Masahiro Ito says it may not be a sexual scene, if you watch Blue Velvet, which is the scene that scene is based on, the scene in Blue Velvet is so incredibly... It is a sexual assault scene. It is totally that. And I could barely watch it. It was that upsetting. It was really upsetting. Oh, man. So I don't know. That scene, I think, is very open to interpretation, but I think the intention is clearly to upset James. Pyramid Head is meant to say, hey, this is you, bro. Remember how you're repressing all these horrible thoughts you have? But this is you, bro. Do I really want to see Pyramid Head cuddle? Do you not? I'd like to see Pyramid Head happy and healthy, and if he wants to, you know, cuddle his partners, that is his right. Haley's not wrong. Most of Blue Velvet is very uncomfortable to watch. Definitely would warn folks to maybe read a summation of that movie before watching it. It was upsetting and grim. Even for somebody that's watched, like, other David Lynch stuff. Ooh. No way. It was way worse. I love that the music's so creepy when you come back. And it sounds like pistoning. Ooh. Anything in there? Pyramid Head has to be the spoony. Oh, you're right! He has to be the one that's spooned! You don't want to stab him in the back of the head with your helmet. I just like that there was a fan artist that did this really cute drawing of Pyramid Head trying to take a selfie, but his helmet just took up the entire camera frame so it didn't get the rest of him, and he was all sad about it. That was so freaking cute. Yeah, it was very rude of James to, you know, not knock when entering a person's house. You know, if you do that, you're gonna walk in on some shit. You know? But still, Pyramid Head should not have just been embarrassed and walked out. He should have taken care of his partners. That's just not how you're supposed to behave, Pyramid Head. Worf killing Shelf? Is this a Star Trek fanfiction? Why is Worf here and why is he killing? Also, you spelled his name wrong, but I think this is the Eddie room. Oh yeah, sounds like it. What a way to introduce a character. The sounds of physical disgust and discomfort, and then you meet the guy. Obviously, we know what he's meant to make us feel. But what I remember was apparently it was a lot longer and really gross originally, and they had a data loss that led to their computer crashing, and they lost a lot of the sound. And one of the guys in charge was like, "Oh, dang, I wanted to make everybody sick." So they had to get rid of a lot of his throwing up stuff. See, I honestly feel really bad for Eddie, but I feel bad for Eddie in the same way that I feel bad for a lot of villains, where it's like, damn, if things were different, it could have been different. Not like, you know, he was wronged and he's, like, people get so mad at me for saying Eddie is a bad guy. He tortured a dog! Like, that's, in fiction, killing animals is, like, immediate. It's one of the easiest ways to characterize someone as evil, because 99% of the human planet is like, no, not dogs! Like, people love their animals more than they love some people. You know, it's just such a easy and immediate association with evil. You know, they characterize, you know, mass murderers as, hey, did they ever kill animals as a child? Because that could be a clue. It's just so obvious to me that it is meant, this game is meant to say, hey, Eddie is a bad guy. I have sympathy for him because he didn't have to be that way if things had gone differently. But he's a bad guy. It's not the same as Angela. Angela doesn't murder anybody that didn't assault her. Like, Eddie does. Eddie does hurt things and animals, possibly people, in the town that didn't hurt him. Angela doesn't. I've had so many people argue that because Angela killed her dad, she is also evil. Did you? No. She's not the same as James, where Mary was an innocent victim. Mary did not assault James. Mary may not have been a good wife, but that is not grounds for murder. You know, it's just not the same situation with Angela, and I don't know how so many people miss that so bad. I like all three characters. They are all necessary for the story. I went in the wrong building. But Angela is the most innocent. Her name is literally Angel. What do you think the authors of the game are trying to tell you when they make all these obvious associations with these characters being good or evil? James is a little more gray because he is you, but he has still done a crime. Oh yeah, this is the toilet room. Why don't we do that? You know, we should. God, that's awful. Ugh. That looks like the contents of 12,000 toilets congealed and dead. Ugh, and the noises! James, bad! No! There's a memo in it. Yeah, that's the code. I don't really need the code. We're on easy mode. We're fine. I just wanted to make James stick his hand in the toilet. That's a building code violation. Yeah, you know, Silent Hill really does probably have a lot of code violations in so many ways. Dear Tim, I have to run an errand, so I'm going out. I left the house key with Uncle David. Be back as soon as I can. Watch the place while I'm gone. Tim just makes me think of Monty Python. They call me Tim. I love that scene. This whole thing is gorgeous.
Angela, okay. I don't know what you're planning, but there's always another way.
Really? But you're the same as me. It's easier just to run. Besides, is what we deserve.
No, I'm not like you.
And the whole time we're seeing his reflection, not his true self.
Afraid.
And then she's actually divided in the mirror.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. Did you?
There's actually blood still on the knife.
Not yet.
Forgot that. It's the same knife. The novelization confirms it's the knife she killed her dad with.
Building? Anyway, she's dead.
That's such a weird thing to say, James. Don't
I don't know
say
why
that.
She's here.
She's dead.
She's dead?
Even Angela thinks you're weird, buddy.
I'm not crazy. At least, I don't think so.
Oh boy, buddy. She's like, I gotta go! Suddenly.
Should I go with you?
And you should stay
This
here.
town's dangerous. Now I know what you meant back there in the cemetery.
Huh.
I'll be okay by myself.
Is that American
Besides, I just
country?
slow you
Is
down.
that red and blue states?
What about
I never realized that
that?
the map had colors on it. Very sad. And of course the door that's all boarded up, blocking the secrets away with the ruined teddy bear. Ugh. And another painting? This one actually looks like a painting of like a bridge. Hello Lucas, welcome. That scene does do a lot. That scene is possibly one of my favorites in the games. Alongside the scene in the friggin' the stairwell that's on fire. Another Angela scene. Her scenes are just so good. Though Eddie's in the cooler is also pretty badass and frankly upsetting. The way the camera jumps around and he's losing it. Ugh. 3 coins. One end is seducer of she. That's the snake. The wind from behind the woman doth play. Formless one. So I think that means the wind behind the woman, formless one's gotta be an empty one. So the snake is all the way on the left. Then there's an empty spot. Null lies furthest from they must mean that the other empty spot is as far away as possible, which is the other end. The old one's not beside the serpent. He's to the prisoner's left. What it actually... Wow, you can actually see the runes pretty clearly. Apparently these are very heavily based on Roman coins. I don't know if the outside writing in Greek actually says anything. And the only one I've found, like... I guess he kind of could be like a random, you know, emperor. But that one definitely looks like the Lady of Justice. For sure. Blindfold and hair and everything. I forgot to pick a coin. It'd be great if I didn't have to Google the answer to a riddle that I've solved 10,000 times. And I always forget the answer to. It'd be great if I could figure it out. The Greek that was in the first game apparently meant something according to a fan who messaged me. So I wonder if this does. So I had it right, but I had it reversed. Snake goes on the other side. So I had it right. I just did it backwards, like I do everything. Ta-da! Alright, Lynn House key. Maybe it's Line House? I'm still amazed by the time you managed to solve that one puzzle in Dino Crisis in Reverse. We don't talk about that, okay, Faku? no mentioning the time that I solved that Dino Crisis puzzle in reverse. Let's just all move on and forget that ever happened. To be of use. You don't make any fun comments the way Heather does. Boring. I found a quote. I think it is. I should see if it's in here and just share it with y'all. I've been researching the religious inspirations behind the cult. We did the Aztecs last time. This week is going to be Christianity, especially their history and how their worldview developed, because it's very much tied to how the cult functions is really related to how they used to, how Christianity kind of used to be divided. And I found a quote. I found a quote from an ancient Christian about his beliefs and how he saw everything. He was defining how he's going to be martyred. He's writing this letter as he is being taken to another city to be martyred because he is a Christian and he did some shit and the Romans didn't like that. And so he wrote all these letters, and he sent them to another church. He wanted to have, like, his beliefs. Back then, they were kind of horny for being killed. We'll go into it next time and how important it is to Silent Hill. But he wrote in one of his letters, "I am God's wheat to be gnashed by animals' teeth so that I am made the perfect bread." I gotta find the official actual quote. I'm gonna take the part that referenced God out, but I want to make that quote into a Heather t-shirt. I am made the perfect bread. Oh, that was great. Avoid, avoid, avoid. Isn't that quote just so badass and amazing? I'm glad that man died for that quote alone. I'm glad he died so that we have that quote in posterity. I'm also gonna see, like, you gotta be careful. If Paul Pyramid had too much, he will turn around. But no, 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 no. I'll give you space, bro. Don't worry about it. I'll give you space. There it is! I love it! Dun 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 dun. Dun 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 dun. So the quote is about, what do you do to wheat to make it bread? Crush it, destroy it. Specifically, he says the gnashing of animals' teeth, because a lot of these people were killed in the Colosseum by wild animals. Essentially saying, I am being made into bread, I am being made into a perfect being by my martyrdom. And that is a really big belief in early Christianity, where there was a sect of Christians who were like, can we stop throwing ourselves on the pyre to be murdered? And then there were a lot of other ones who were like, no, it is truly Christian to be murdered. And, like, that very fanatical obsession with death is heavy in the cult. And it was a big thing in early Christianity. I don't think it really ever went away, but it changed form in some ways. And has been kind of seen in different ways in different parts of Christian history. But early on, they were horny for death. Because they really felt like that was reinforcing, that was making them truly Christian, was being willing to die like Christ had. Say hello. Can you say hello, Candy? Oh, yes, love the pettings. Love the pettings. Yes, yes, yes. He is dissociating a lot in this. And the reason he really does not react to a lot of things in a normal human fashion is that his brain is not functioning. His brain is having to work so hard and so much overtime for him to just function and forget that his wife is dead, that he is not reacting normally to stimuli. Which, if you've ever in any way dissociated, you'd understand. Like, it's like living in a world of fog. It's like nothing is really real to you. You don't process things very well. And that is completely what is happening to James, and why I think he reacts to a lot of things in a really weird, off way. Because he is not fully there until later in the game, when he starts reacting to things a little differently. This is the part. It blew my mind when I figured out rosewater is used for people that have skin diseases, and her skin is so effed up. Ugh.
Mary?
No. Ugh, I love it.
No, you're not.
Do I look like your girlfriend?
No, my late wife.
her face there.
I can't believe it.
Ugh.
You could be her twin. Your face, your voice, just your hair and clothes are
My
different.
name is Maria. I don't look like a ghost, do I? See? Feel how warm I am?
You're
Yeah.
really not Mary.
She just put his hand on her
I'm
boob.
Maria.
Sorry.
They just very conveniently hid that.
Confused.
Where are you going?
She said, "Here,
I'm looking
feel it."
for Mary. Have you seen her?
Didn't you say
And that
she
stutter there.
died?
I'm looking for Mary. That's what I'm doing here. That's right. Oh yeah, she died.
3 years ago.
He is so out of
But I
it.
got a letter from her. She said she was waiting in our special place.
Yeah, Maria's fantastic. She is like,
And that's
as much as I
here?
really love Angela, Maria's my favorite character in this
Haven't
game
seen
now.
her.
Like, she's just so fascinating.
Is this your only special place?
Well, there's the hotel too, I guess. The one on the lake. I wonder if it's still there.
Gandalf is settled
View
right
Hotel?
next to me on the armchair.
Yeah, it's still there. So the hotel was your special place, huh? I'll bet it was.
He doesn't like when I do that.
Don't get so mad. I was just
You moved.
joking.
I didn't get to eat it.
Anyway, it's not that way. It's this way. It's gone.
I love to bully my cat.
This town is full of monsters. How can you sit there and eat pizza?
She said she was fine by herself. She said a fatso like me would just slow her down.
You know, I think Masahiro Ito actually commented on the pizza. Oh, there he goes. I think he commented at one point. It joked about like Eddie getting it from a pizzeria or something. Get it, Andy, get it. Yeah, he joked it was a microwavable pizza. That might have been it. It was on Twitter a little while ago. Let's see here. Jack Davis. Attempted suicide 3 times. He's normally a model patient who follows orders, must be watched closely. Joseph Barkin. Illness seems to be rooted in the fact he believes he's guilty of causing his daughter's death. His symptoms suggest a psychotic break and paranoid delusions. Normally calm, but tendency towards violence when excited. Joshua Lewis. History of hospitalization as well as numerous assault, battery, and other violent offenses. He has a strong persecution complex and a tendency to solve things through violence. So there's a lot of theories about what these 3 things are. For one, it is obviously all the names are J's, tying them to James, and in some ways can be seen as pieces of his personality, but they also tie into Angela, Eddie, and James, since Angela and Eddie both kind of also reflect pieces of James's personality and where he can go. Obviously, this one is Eddie, the suicidal one's Angela, you know. Love how Mary teleports. Maria, what is your name, lady? The potential for this illness exists in all people, and under the right circumstances, any man or woman would be driven like him to the other side. The other side, perhaps, may not be the best way to phrase it. After all, there is no wall between here and there. It lies on the borders where reality and unreality intersect. It is a place both close and distant. Some say it isn't even an illness. I cannot agree with them. I'm a doctor, not a philosopher or even a psychiatrist. But sometimes I have to ask myself this question. It's true that to us his imaginings are nothing but the inventions of a busy mind. But to him there simply is no other reality. Furthermore, he is happy there. So why, I ask myself, why in the name of healing must we drag him painfully into the world of our own reality? What was it we decided I needed to say last night on stream? Not that anything creepy is happening yet. We were watching, we were streaming TV and stuff last night, watching horror things on YouTube. What was it? It was, chills. It was something about chills. We were making fun of things. You should join the Discord and make fun of things with us. I think all these doors are locked, if I remember right. Hey, Maria, since you just showed us your amazing lockpicking skills, why don't you start lockpicking, huh? Hi, Gandhi. You want to say hello? No coffee. No coffee for Gandalf. No. You come here, say hi. Hello. Say hello. I play video game. Now the menu's going crazy. He put his foot on the controller. Say hi. Hello. He looks so happy. Here you go, kitty. He's decided that the front layer of, like, I have 2 levels on my desk. He's decided the front level is for him to lay on. No. No, kitty. Not right now. That's where microphone goes. Oh, hello. Hi there. How you doing? So, it's very hard to see, and I never really realized until Masahiro Ito pointed it out himself. With a close-up from, like, within, he had, like, a in-game renders, or, like, a program kind of thing, showing that the face of the nurses is literally a little infant's face. And I think he said something to the effect of, he saw it as meaning, or representing how they wanted kids, and it never happened. No? Hello, cat. Ah, no! What are you doing? No! He's sitting on top of my PC. You can't sit there. I know it's warm, but you can't. He's being bad. He being bad boy. Alright, I think we got another key. The lapis eye. Now that I've started researching Aztec stuff and the kind of things they used to create jewelry, I wonder if lapis is one of their ingredients. I was looking up more on obsidian, which we talked about how the obsidian gauntlet is related to Aztec traditions, because obsidian's a volcanic rock that they had, like, everywhere. Turns out it was not just ritual bloodletting. It was heavily associated with the ritual self-sacrifice, where you cut yourself complete to death. And also in just traditional small bloodletting instances where, you know, hope we have a good day, let's cut my elbow and honor the gods. It was also used in surgery. They didn't specify what kind, but presumably, you know, since it was made into a lancet, that's a small surgical knife. And it was made into mirrors. They were used in reflective mirrors, and mirrors were heavily associated with divination. They saw mirrors as doors to another world, because they were a reflection of a world you could not pass through. They clearly were a path to a world you could not enter normally. They have a lot of very interesting beliefs that mirror both what's in Silent Hill and a lot of other cultures, which there was a big conspiracy theory that somehow people from China got to Mexico and that's where all their culture came from. Because they do have some things in common, like they believe in the woman on the moon and the rabbits, and they have some things in common, but much more likely that 2 human cultures kind of simultaneously developed similar ideas instead of China went to Mexico and gave them culture. But that was a conspiracy for a while in the academic universe. I never understood why James leaves Maria taking drugs, sleeping alone in a room in a hellish hospital. It's a little weird, but also everything James does is a little weird.
James, I want to ask you something. What if you can't find Mary? What will you do?
Yeet myself into the lake.
I haven't thought about that.
I wonder where the idea of the red square as a save point came from. You can kind of see, like, the developing the red creepy square into an actual symbol. Like, I kind of see where that comes from. But how did they go from the writer writes in a notebook to save the game to red square, sees into brain, kind of creepy. Like, I'm very curious where that idea came from. Obviously, it's part of the mirror symbolism, because you see his reflection every time you do it, and it's like he's looking in the mirror from the bathroom that first time. Alright, something written on the wall. Louise, I'll take care of you forever. It's my destiny. 4 is a really, really important Aztec number. It's the number that holds up the world and keeps the apocalypse from happening. Interesting. Yeah, so in Aztec mythology, 4... Well, okay, it's really metaphysical. The world is divided into realms, kind of like realities, and they are all built upon and structured together, kind of like built together like a house, like the 4 walls of a house. and the gods are what embody and create those realities. Each direction, north, south, east, and west, is like a physical existence that upholds the world, and it's associated with a color, a god, an element, a gender, all kinds of things, and those things are kind of believed to be manifested into reality by the existence of that god. If that god dies, that reality dies. And so, north, south, east, and west, and all the various things that are associated with those four directions, are the four cardinal directions that hold up the universe. And the gods of those directions keep the universe together. In the previous eras, you know, because they have the idea that there were all these different eras, and then, you know, those worlds failed. Each of the individual four gods fought each other. One god was supreme, and then eventually was overthrown. Finally, in this, the fifth era, the gods said, okay, cool, let's work together this time. Maybe this time, if we work together, it won't be so bad. And that's why there's peace now, because they're working together. I find it fascinating that the journal is very clearly about suicide, and yet it implies that the character is killed. You know? Not jumps to her death, hey bro, but that she is kind of pushed. You know? I'm going home. You know? Very interesting connotation there. Thanks, bro. I needed that push. Speedrunners are wild, man. I've done alright on playing these games. I've never really done speedruns. I think I did Silent Hill 3 in 3 hours, and that's probably the fastest I've ever done one of these. I have done the game that I do kind of challenge myself on is Kingdom Hearts. Kingdom Hearts has a lot of fun trophies you can unlock, and I managed to unlock 3 of them at once. It was use nothing but the original Keyblade, beat it in 15 hours, and do it without using revives. Like when you die, you have to go back to the save point. I managed to do all 3 at one time. I was so proud of myself. Alrighty. Nothing inside the box. No, I'm wrong. There is hair. I got hair. Yay! We did it! Yeah, we should watch Jacob's Ladder too, because it's been years since I've seen it. And that's also really influential on this, for sure. So what would that be? Lost Highway, Jacob's Ladder, what else? Blue Velvet was really big for this one. Crime and Punishment, but I feel like the book was probably more influential than the film adaptations. You're in the way. You want headbutts? Oh, you're being very sweet. Honk. Mwah. Very sweet. You good boy. Does the game make it clear if James went through a suicidal period at any point? They never make it explicit, but given the themes it's exploring and the stories that they mention as being inspirational to it, I think it's inevitable that he definitely did.
Big fat blabbermouth.
I think he probably only held on because he felt like he needed to be there for Mary, but then feeling like Mary didn't want him, need him, made that more complicated, and, which I think is why he only ends up committing suicide after she's dead. Because the last thing tying him to this world and any possibility of a future was her, and having to take care of her. He's clearly not good with kids. Which also...
I'm sorry, Laura.
I've been reading a lot about ancient Christianity, and then how it developed over the years into modern Christianity, and the ideas that changed and evolved.
We can talk about this
and
later.
How heavily
this
associated
is no place for a kid.
Procreation was with marriage at certain points, but then also at other points, the idea that marriage was not for sex at all. It evolved a lot, but the modern sensibility that a healthy, good marriage has children and theirs didn't, and then showing that he is so bad with children, I think it's an understated way of showing that his marriage was kind of doomed. Because the typical ideas of what marriage should be, what should be involved, he's so bad at. You know?
What are you doing, Laura?
She's pulling a joke, it's what kids do. But you don't know how to kids.
Laura?
Oh yeah. Laura doesn't know anything about what's going on. She doesn't see any monsters. To her, this is a prank. She's literally just pulling a prank on him, but, you know, he is not... This is really showing he does not know how to deal with kids. Even with his terror here, all he had to do was be gentle to the kid and not be a total jerk, you know? This is not how you treat kids at all. Especially when you want kids to do something. And one of the things parents really have to learn is how to handle children in dangerous situations, because inevitably something bad will happen where you'll have to handle the fact that you need the kid to listen and obey now in this terrible situation, but you know that, you know, kids respond best to certain ways of being treated and not, you know, necessarily being yelled at and scolded all the time. Anyway, he's bad at child psychology is what I'm saying. James is a burnt face hashtag. Yeah, get that hashtag going. Yeah. If James said there's weird monsters in here, then she'd say he was a liar. I love this transition. It's so lovely.
James.
Okay, I gotta show y'all this. This is how Kitty has decided he will sit. Why? Why this? Why this? Why are you doing this? This seems weird. Why? He's such a little weirdo. Ooh, you hear the siren a lot. My sister used to have the siren as her ringtone for me whenever I called her, and then she was like, it bothered me too much. I couldn't keep it. You know what would have been fun? Playing Maria's scenario in the hospital. Like, what happens to her? You know, she bursts into that room in the basement really kind of upset. You know, I wonder what she went through here. I mean, I'd love to see her whole entire story in this game. If I was any good at art and programming this kind of game, I'd totally make that Maria's entire adventure. Oof, that'd be so cool. Yeah, it's very drab and covered over and creepy here. It looks like it always made me think of like after a funeral when you cover up all the furniture because it's gonna be sold or whatever, and the empty house is just a bunch of furniture covered in sheets. Y'all ever seen that? Or is that only like a southeastern American thing? I have to go to the elevator.
I heard you streaming, so I'm coming to crash the stream.
You can't play Silent Hill.
I don't care.
Why are you? That's my sword.
I don't care.
No. Do you remember the name? Did you already forget? You can't keep it if you don't know what it is.
Legendary sword.
It's not called Legendary Sword.
I don't know what the heck it is.
Who
It's a
wields
sword.
it? You forgot who wields it? I just told... Give me that sword.
No.
Give me that sword.
No.
It's not yours. You can't have it if you don't know who wields it and what it's called.
Mine.
It's Link's Master Sword.
I don't care. It's just a pointy sword and I like it.
Go on. You can't stay in here.
But I want to stay, so I'm staying.
You can't, sweetheart. This is a very creepy game. You can pet Gandalf and then you can go. We'll play again at some point.
You
Promise.
didn't say how long I can pet Gandalf.
Alright, that's enough.
No!
Go.
No.
You can
I
play
don't wanna say
with Guinea.
She won't play with me, 1 and 2.
Well, go hang out with her.
I
Watch a
wanna say hi
movie.
to Akatsuki.
Well, then just say hi to Akatsuki.
Hello.
That was my 13-year-old niece. She's a lot. I guess she just got out of school. I really wonder about the whole... Like, this is the second hospital where we've seen an instance of a basement's basement. You know? Because in the hospital in Alchemilla, you go to the basement, and then you find that trap door, and you go even further down in the basement. Like, there's just this heavy association with secrets upon secrets in all these hospital levels. Oh, wow. It sounds like someone's breathing on a ventilator, and there's a heartbeat in there. Oof. The fact that there's no body, that's so creepy. Oof. It definitely feels like somebody should be there.
James.
Mary? Oh, Maria. It's you. I thought you were... Sorry. Anyway, I'm glad you're alive.
Anyway? What do you mean, anyway? You don't sound very happy to see me. I was almost killed back there. Why didn't you try to save me? All you care about is that dead wife of yours. I've never been so scared in my whole life. You couldn't care less about me, could you?
No, I
Then
just...
stay with me. Don't ever leave me alone. You're supposed to take care of me.
Her lines here are so well done. Her voice actress is like one of the best in this
Laura?
game.
Did you find her?
Yeah, but... She ran away.
We've got to find her.
He's so cute.
Now for our third and final question.
He's so
South of the
cute.
lake is a deserted old neighborhood called...
Okay, Gandhi. If you were to go to Silent Hill, what would your crime be?
The central resort area northwest
Stealing
of the
chicken?
lake. There's only
Yes, probably.
one road you can take. Just
Bullying your
one
little brother.
road. No
Probably
more.
also.
The third and final question
Eating
is,
cardboard.
What is the name of
These
that
are your
road?
crimes.
What?
Come on, Maria! Let's go get married and open a fridge.
Not very cute, is it? Here, James. You take it.
Thanks.
Yeah, she kind of gave him a ring the way that you do when you get married. Any correlation between copper and spiders? I'm digging into it. Spiders, it seems, represented certain things in Aztec culture, and it might be related to the sun, possibly. I was reading up on it right when we started streaming this, so we'll have to see. I feel like I've got the Christian connections down pat, because I was kind of raised in that culture, and then I went to college and studied that culture, so I know a lot of its symbols and stuff. Aztec's a whole new world for me, so I'm still learning and kind of catching. It's kind of like looking at Silent Hill 2 in a really different way all of a sudden, because now you suddenly can speak one of the languages the game is speaking in. Because there are a lot of symbols and themes in here from Aztec culture that just right over my head. Oh, hey, speaking of, there's the murder man with the spear. He's got the spear. Oh, no, turn around. I'm running the wrong way. Shit, run! No! What is happening? Run, James! My lord. James got real confused for a second. Oh, and it's glowing red again in here. Oh, Maria, run, run, run. Run.
Open up!
Poor Maria. I love this scene, though. So slow and sad. He who is not bold enough to be stared at from across the abyss is not bold enough to stare into it himself. The truth can only be learned by marching forward. Follow the map. There's a letter and a wrench. I just realized the ads on the side there, there's literally an ad for the Lakeview Hotel. Which it's saying, if you're not brave enough to look at across the abyss, where across the lake at the abyss, then you're not brave enough to look in the abyss itself, which for him is the hotel. Funny that that adds there. And the Toluca boat launch, which is where we end up going at some point. I thought of James, Angela, and Eddie as sacrifices. The place was crumbling after Silent Hill 1. Interesting. That is a thought. And in one of the endings, theoretically, they can all three die. In very kind of sacrificial manners. Like, if Angela kills herself with the knife, that is literally basically the ritual of bloodletting from Aztec myth. And, fun story, Eddie is, his tablet in the prison is the tablet of an Aztec god whose name I will say wrong, but it is Tlahuizcalpanticuitl. I'm still learning how to pronounce these words. He's an aspect of Quetzalcoatl, who's very famous, and associated with Venus and the Morning Star, which is, Quetzalcoatl is that's his whole thing. Story goes that his heart rose into the heavens when he died and it became the star. Tlaz, we'll call him, represents Venus at dawn. He is the dawn star. And the idea was that when the Venus first rose across the horizon, it was lifting the sun out of the underworld and was actually very dangerous. And they imagined those rays of light as being like darts thrown at you and could hurt you or your corn, which was very important. And there's a story that goes that Tlaz threw one of his darts at the sun because he was like jealous or angry, whatever. And the sun, one of the gods was like, nah, and stared at him and turned him into, it basically killed him with his eyes. But in doing so, he was reborn as another god of cold. And it occurred to me, Eddie is faced by James in a cellar, in a cold room, and is killed. And I just kind of was like, the god that he is associated with dies and becomes god of cold. He is killed in a room of cold. Interesting. Another fun story, the three gods that are in the prison level, two of them are considered beneficial gods. They are gods that the Aztecs were friendly towards. Eddie's, they were not. Venus was considered a very dangerous star. They were afraid of it. And the gods associated with it were usually tricksters or in some way considered dangerous. Are you really waiting for me, or is this your way of taking revenge? Going to find Mary is the one thing I have left to hope for. Alright. I think we're gonna go this way to get to the other side of town. There's also a very heavy association in Aztec myth with the eclipse as a dangerous, evil event. They were very big astronomers, very big, very talented at keeping time and tracking the stars. And whenever there was an eclipse, it was seen as demons like eating the moon or the sun or taking a bite out of it, and it was a very deadly time. And demons would walk the world, and you were supposed to try and, stay away from nighttime and the eclipse. And so my brain immediately went to the keys of eclipse in the first game and how the eclipse brings about the darkness, which brings about the monsters. When we open that door and use the keys of eclipse, the darkness comes and then all the monsters with it. We're kink-shaming the monsters. Listen, the monsters started kink-shaming us first. What is Silent Hill if not a place where you're kink-shamed by monsters? So I think it's only fair if we kink-shame the monsters back, okay? It's only fair. I thought the whole line was changed and this is what appeared in its place, assuming that meant that the message came from the same individual both times. But the handwriting style is entirely different. They write with, let's see here, a combination like, that's so strange. Here, D-I-E, the I is lowercase, but in might, M-I-G, it's uppercase. They have uppercase letters going out throughout. Different has an uppercase E. S-E-E is uppercase when it shouldn't be. That O is uppercase when it shouldn't be. The weird style of writing here. Whereas the other one is written very normally with very round letters. That's got very, very sharp letters. Two different people wrote this, for sure. Implying, really, whoever wrote the letter in the hospital that sends us on this trip, because you write the letter and it's written like it's like it's talking to you, and then you go to the house and you find the next piece and it's written as if it's continuing that conversation. And since this note appears here now for the first time, it kind of implies that whoever wrote the letter also came here and wrote that note as well, possibly. Or that it was in some way it came from them. So whoever is the doctor or whoever was in the hospital seems to be writing and leading us this way. I like the idea there were several people running around with a bucket of blood to write cryptic texts on the walls. That seems to be like a permanent job in this town. Like, Silent Hill put out a job application that said, needed painters, rush job. To go back to earlier, did I hear you say the nurses have infant faces? They do. Masahiro Ito posted a picture that makes it really obvious, because it's hard to see, but when you zoom in, he says they very purposefully gave the very shrunken, infant-looking faces to represent the fact that the two of them wanted children, or at least I think Mary did, and never got to. And I think there's also something very creepy about the fact that the infant face isn't on any other monster, like the lying figure or something. It's on the sexual one. And, you know, sex, procreation, infants, definitely associating, I think, maybe two different ways of looking at the relationship, where I think maybe Mary was more involved in the sex because she wanted a kid, and James, probably not wanting a kid, just had sexual desires, wanted them fulfilled. Nightmares. The door that wakes in darkness opening into nightmares. Also, very different font. Resembles more the font of the whole message than it does the font of the message from the doctor. Also, that kind of looks like it's red, white, and blue. Is that just me? Does that not look kind of like it's red, white, and blue? The door into darkness kind of resembles an American flag, or am I projecting? It looks like it's red, white, and blue! Does someone just go and unlock that door every night? Honestly, somewhere, Silent Hill has got, like, a butler that runs around, leaving the bloody messages, making sure to lock and unlock various doors, hiding keys under rocks, and all the various things that Silent Hill needs done. Silent Hill's Department of Public Works must be messed up. We should ask the mayor of Silent Hill, which is one of my favorite Twitter accounts of all time. How much fun would that be as, like, a story, though? Like a parody of the person that's hired to work in a haunted town to just, like, put up the bloody messages, and, you know, like, the person that's having to make all the creepy, horrible things happen behind the scenes, but for them it's just, like, an office job. That would be fun. Patrick Chester, son of Edward, he fought and died for the people, for liberty, and for all of our tomorrows. His memory lives on. But not his limbs, because it looks like they've been torn off of him. Or is that just me? I can't see all of his statue. Let's move over here. It just me, or does it definitely look like his statue's been effed up? Oh yeah, he is. Oh, that's unfortunate. His horse don't have a head, he don't have a head, he don't have any limbs. He's mostly just torso at this point. Clearly that was a Confederate statue. I don't know, if this is in Maine, they wouldn't have had a Confederate statue in Maine. Or are you saying that just because he's so destroyed because he lost? Yeah, I guess that's a fun interpretation. But presumably he would have been a Union soldier if this is in Maine. Though I do think it's so much fun that they created all this history connected to the Civil War, but in American history, there's no way Maine would have had all that shit. Oh, no! It can't be the only one that misreads the text about the cat cam. You're the second person. The first person pointed it out. I didn't notice until after stream, and I was like, oh, no! But that's the font that I use for everything now. I need to go in and edit the image and just, like, fix the letter A. But I haven't done that yet. I forgot until you mentioned it again. It does look a little messed up. I do like that they say my ad here, so I'm gonna, like, call them and put an ad in there for my YouTube channel. But yeah, I need to edit that a little bit. You think it's perfect? You don't want me to fix it? I'm a painter for like a hobby. It's been years since I've done it regularly. But when I was in college and I made a lot of money off Etsy and doing paintings, I sold a painting of this a couple times where I just recreated it basically as a real acrylic painting. It was super fun. Misty Day, Remains of the Judgment. It's him! Oh boy, here we go. I jump! Bye, cruel world. I love how long it takes him to prepare, though. He's clearly at least like, well, this is fucked. Okay, bye! Oh good, more water. It's almost like it's a water prison. I am going to count how many of these we descend down. Because there might be a connection. 3-inch long cylinder attached. The cylinder's engraved with spiral writing. Oh! I don't know that I ever actually looked at the frickin' thing. Let's see if that's a real quote or not. Nope, it is from Silent Hill. It is not from anything else. Okay. Wait. Wondered if there's a meaning to how many times James jumps through the holes. If we connect it to, like, the various levels he goes down, if there are 9, it might mean something. I mean, it could mean something else too, I guess. But if if it's 9, it means what I think it means. There are 9 levels to the journey through hell in Aztec mythology. In Aztec mythology, when you die, you have to go on this journey, and there are 9 levels, I think, that you're involved in going. I don't know if you have to go through all of them or not, but...
Killing a person ain't no big deal.
Hey, weirdo!
Just put the gun to their head. Pow.
So far, we've jumped through 3. There's another one in here, and there's one in the
But-
graveyard.
but
So
it
there's at
wasn't
least
my
5.
fault. He made me do it.
Calm down, Eddie. Tell me what happened.
That guy, he had it coming. I didn't do anything.
What's also interesting that occurred to me recently, you see these characters so much throughout this game, but neither of them appear in the hospital.
You killed him?
They both appear in the apartments.
What do you mean, just
They,
for that?
let's see, does she
You
appear
can't
here?
just
No,
kill
she doesn't
someone
appear here.
because of the way they looked at you.
Does she? Yes, she
Well, why-
does.
why not?
So they both appear in the prison.
Well, now I always
They
let
both
people
appear
walk all
in
over
the
me.
apartments. And of course, Eddie dies
Like that
here.
stupid
And then
dog.
Angela appears in the hotel.
He had it coming too.
Eddie?
So for some reason, neither of them appear in the hospital.
I was just joking, James. He was dead when I got here. Honest.
No,
Anyway,
he was not.
I gotta run.
You're going out there alone?
Yeah.
He sounds way too freaking
Eddie?
excited. Oh boy, that man's very dead. The body is marked with bullet holes, so not just one shot. He said, boom, boom, boom. Ah. His legs, yeah, everybody's legs keep vanishing, unfortunately. Ah, they don't need those. There we go. And there's a picture of the Tablet of Gluttonous Pig, which, so far, I haven't found much Aztec lore on pigs. Found in the dining room. He does kind of have a piggy look to him. And there's no extra comment, huh? So the picture... Okay, this is kind of a reach. But I can't tell if the picture looks much different. It looks like it might be a little cleaner. Like maybe the body's not here. And if it's like the other picture where it shows a place in the future where we saw the picture of the hole before we jumped in the hole, maybe this is meant to say this is what this place was before Eddie got here? Maybe it's like, yeah, Eddie did trash this place. Look, we looked great earlier. And then Eddie trashed it and murdered this dude. Don't listen to him. He definitely did do murder here. Yeah, going to Silent Hill is one thing. Cleaning Silent Hill? An impossible task. guess he's dead. A local magazine. Toluca Lake, the town's main tourist attraction. This clear, beautiful lake has another side as well. You notice everything has an other side, another side. It may seem like just a typical ghost story you might find in any number of old towns across the country, but in this case the legend is true. On a fog-bound November day in 1918, the Little Baroness, a ship filled with tourists, failed to return to port. A newspaper article from back then simply says it most likely sunk for some reason. Despite an extensive police search, not a single fragment of the ship nor any of the 14 bodies of passenger or crew has ever been recovered to this day. Hello, Juan? I hope I said that right. Feel free to correct me. Welcome. Hello, Alex. In 1939, an even stranger incident occurred. Many pages torn out. Many corpses rest at the bottom of this lake. Their bony hands reach up toward the boats that pass overhead. Perhaps they reach for their comrades. Found in the shower room. Yeah, that's how she's typically presented. Mahajwel, I think her name is pronounced, associated with fertility and alcohol, bloodletting. She is the creator of the magui plant, which was used both it was a spiky kind of plant that you could use the spikes for bloodletting and rituals, but it could also be the sap could be fermented into alcohol, so it was also a really popular alcoholic drink. So she's really heavily associated with both of those. And that's what the cactus shape behind her is, the maguey plant, and the markings, I think, on her face. I think that might be maybe one of the spines in her nose, possibly. That is actually a picture from one of the codexes. I didn't look it up again. I find the phrase 3 sins interesting. Why are those 3 the sins that are meaningful? Well, it's the 3 behaviors that either they felt punished for, or I think what brought them here. For instance, the goddess that is on James's tablet was the goddess that people that committed sins related to sexuality were supposed to confess to, including adulterers who were almost always summarily executed. You were expected to go to the priest, and you would confess and perform a bloodletting ritual in front of the statue, and that would consider your sins forgiven, but only once in your life. It was a one-time thing where it was like, okay, I fucked up, forgive me. And a lot of folks would wait until later in their life so that presumably they could, like, get it off of their chest and then, you know, not have sins whenever it is that they die. Or in the case of adulterers, if they were then to be executed, they would go into the afterlife, you know, having had a full life. Oh my god. That's a goddamn ritual table! I never even noticed! Whose office is this? And there's freaking goblets! Aha! Tablet of the Oppressor. Magazines of no interest. Really? Looks like there's a magic book on the bed. And maybe some more signs carved on the wall, and Bob knocked over my research notes. Is there a guy that says ritual in both hallways? I think there is. That's it! That's why he's stomping around and chanting ritual. He's not a prisoner, he's the guard. He's the guy from the office that has the cups and the ritual table. He's the ritual. He performs the ritual on the prisoners, and he's the guard that stomps up and down the hallways. Yeah, because I know that they said that the cult performed rituals on the prisoners, and that makes sense. But it always confused me that it seemed like all the occult material in the prison was in the prison cells, which associates it with the prisoners, as if they were the ones doing research and stuff. But now that we found that office that has that table, and the clear, like, sacrifice office, like, it looks just like the one that Walter has in 4, that makes so much more sense. That the guy that's stomping around is not a prisoner, because frickin' prisoners can't even walk that far. It's actually the guard, possibly even the guy that has that office. Alright. Lovely. The Aztecs did hold quite a few ritualistic banquets, in which typically they sacrificed people and then would eat them, because it was believed that they were becoming one with the gods in doing so. There was a lot of belief with symbolism creating an association between the person or the object that was being used in the ritual and the god or goddess associated. Like, the people that were being sacrificed would live as the god or the goddess for a year, or who knows how long a period of time. They would dress as them, they would die with their presented as them, and then they would eat them, and it was as you were coming one with the gods. So this is hole number 5, right? I think that's what we said. Jump back to where I was writing that down. Yes. Yeah, so now we're going down again. That's 7. Yeah, do holes disappear if you choose not to dive into them? That's a popular way of interpreting the there was a hole here thing, which is possible. I think it could be either the person didn't jump, maybe lost their chance. They did jump and it closed behind them. Maybe they jumped and they died, so they failed and it closed. I think that it's very open to interpretation. Oh, man.
You're alive! Maria!
Nobody survives murder like Maria.
Are you hurt bad?
Not at all, silly.
This part's so freaking creepy. And the lack of music is just such a lovely
Maria?
touch. Like, it's so
That
subtle.
thing, it stabbed you. There was blood everywhere.
Stabbed me? What do you mean?
It chased us to the elevator. And then,
James, what are you talking about?
just before, don't you remember?
Ugh.
James, honey, did something happen to you? After we got separated in that long hallway? Are you confusing me with someone else? You were always so forgetful. Remember that time in the hotel?
Maria?
You said you took everything, but you forgot that videotape we made. I wonder if it's still there.
How do you know about that? Aren't you Maria?
I'm not your Mary.
Ugh, I love that line.
So, you're Maria.
I am. If you want me to be.
I'm
All I
Maria
want
if
from
you
you is
want
an
me to
answer.
be. Not I'm Mary if you want me to be. I'm Maria if you want me
It
to be.
doesn't matter who I am. I'm here for you, James. See? I'm real. Don't you want to touch me?
I don't know.
Come and get me. I can't do anything through these bars.
Okay. Stay right there. I'll be there soon.
His voice sounds so dead there. Oh, she actually gets up and paces? Can we talk to her again? Or no, she goes and lies down. I love the fact that whole bit. I'm not your Mary. I'm Maria if you want me to be. Not implying that if you want me to be like your wife, I'll be like your wife. If you want me to be Maria, this identity that's been created by the town, I can be. Like, I can exist as this person if you want me. Otherwise, I don't exist. I don't know, very interesting to me. Hello, sir. Coming through. Don't mind me. Still on my way. It looks like he's trying to swim. It looks like that scene from Men in Tights where the guy falls in the tiny creek and he starts going, I can't swim! I did not realize who that was. That's an idea. Elfin says that, not your Mary, but possibly a Mary. Like, maybe implying, yes, she has Mary's memories and feelings, but doesn't feel as if, you know, she's not the Mary that got married to him. You know? That is a good idea. Yeah. Oh, this room. This is the only time we see Angela, like, ever being attacked or having any monsters. Whereas, you know, Maria, she's with us, and oh, this broken camera angle's fucked! Oh, I don't like that! And Eddie is always surrounded by dead bodies. Like, Angela's never in danger or having anything happen to her, really, you know? It feels like the town really wasn't coming after her in the way that it might be James and Eddie. And the monster that shows up is her dad. Like, the town's trying to tell her that, yes, your father was a monster who deserved to die. Don't feel guilty. But she doesn't realize or can't accept it. Poor Angela.
Are you okay?
No. I love that the TV's in this scene just so she can slam dunk him. Oh, and this camera angle.
Angela, relax.
Don't order me around!
Don't tell anybody to relax in this
not trying to
scenario,
order
really.
you.
He's
So what do you
so
want
out of
then?
touch. Alright. Once again, Muse hates on James. Damn right I do. He's a great protagonist, but he's not a cool dude. I don't like him as a person, but I like him as a character. You couldn't have had a better, like, you need a bad person to have this kind of a game and a discussion, you know? Whether or not he redeems himself is up to how you play. The noose went away. That's fun. It looks like the blood is concentrated around her wrists or her arms, doesn't it? And she's got the skin disease. We were talking about when we started this game up, there's graffiti in that bathroom in the first area, right? Well, I went and took a look at it, and other folks have also looked at it, and I agree with the interpretations other folks have made. They're both quotes from the Book of Job. And that just puts a lot of things in new light. That this whole game is referring to the Book of Job. Yeah, wow. Eddie, doing a bad job here, buddy. Hello, folks popping in. Welcome. Gross. Gross.
Do you know what it does to you, James? When you're hated,
Hey, Billy.
picked on, spit on, just because of the way you look, after you've been laughed at your whole friggin' life.
Listen, Eddie, we've all been bullied a little
I
bit.
ran away after I killed the dog.
He drops the lead right there. I ran away after I killed the dog.
I killed that dog. It was fun.
Gross.
Tried to
Horrible.
chew its own guts out.
Fuck you, buddy.
Finally died all
I lose
curled
all
up in a
sympathy when you do
ball.
that.
Then he came after me. I shot him too, right in the leg.
So he was his bully. He shot the bully in the knee. So that means the he's been referring to this whole time was the guy that bullied him.
Being
Not the first time. Notice that once again, his hand goes to his head.
a
Every
human
time he thinks
being.
about his wife or murdering her, his hand goes to his head. Sense the mirror. Hello, Alicio. I hope I said that right. Welcome. Alvaro. Was Eddie abused in some way, or that he was just laughed at? It's never specifically said how
Mary.
he is bullied, but presumably, given what I know about real-life bullying
Did you really
experiences, he was
die
probably
3
beat
years
up
ago?
and physically abused by his classmates. The one thing we really don't know is how his family treated him, if his home life was good. We don't really know if familial abuse is involved. Whereas with James and Angela, both of them, in some way, their stories have to do with how their family abused them. Eddie just seems to be far more focused on societal issues rather than like his dad was mean to him. Which I think is interesting because, you know, he's kind of the character that's like, this is what happens when society turns young men into violent murderers. You know, this is the consequence of the way that our society is developed, which is possibly why his family doesn't really have anything to do with it. Because they wanted to emphasize how much he is a reflection of how American toxic masculinity, you know, gets at people. Somebody commented on my Eddie video and said, I agree with everything you said, and you're right about this being toxic masculinity, but you shouldn't use that word because nobody likes that word. What? If the shoe fits, my dude. People really didn't like that word. I put it in there on purpose because I knew it would piss people off. It's what the story is. His whole story is how bullying for not being a good enough, you know, not being a man destroyed him. Duh. I really like him as a character, and I wish, you know, all these characters, I wish I could just bundle them up and take them away and save them. Except for James, because James's whole thing is just like, he didn't have, from what we know, didn't have a bad childhood, wasn't abused, his wife was sick and mean, which happens when people get sick. You know? My dad, when he was sick, got very mean at times. Very mean. My grandma, she had a stroke. She got real mean sometimes. And it's just a consequence of illness. They're in pain, you know? And you're the one that's got to buck up and deal with it. James couldn't deal with it. He's a weakling! Coward. I've doubled down on my dislike of James. He's a great character, and as a person, I don't like him. You say toxic, I say venomous, because toxins are what you eat, and venom is when you get eaten up by it. That's actually a smart way to think of it. Venomous masculinity. I hate this part. I can never tell if I'm doing it right. Do I just row the boat? I thought we were supposed to row towards a light, but I don't see a light. Can I actually turn? Well, I can turn. Can I turn around and go the other way? Decided I don't want to go to the hotel. I'd rather go home. So, since all we're doing is boating, I can talk about the stuff I've kind of come to realize today. I was starting with the bathroom, because obviously that's the first level in the game, and the various graffiti that's on the wall. 2 lines are on the wall. Let me, actually, I have it still pulled up, don't I? Yes. They're both broken lines. One of them is, I am decaying, and underneath it is the word that. It looks like a sentence, but it says, I am decaying that. And then another one says, the hands fashioned thou. And that's all you can really read of it. You actually Google those. Both of them seem to refer to lines from the Book of Job, one of which reads, let's see, while I am decaying like a rotten thing, like a garment that is moth-eaten, thy hands fashioned and made me, and now thou dost turn about and destroy me, which I love. The Book of Job is all about God and Satan, who, not necessarily the Christian Satan, but the, James, okay, wait, James doesn't get to say 3 years of dealing with it. Oh, 5 years. 5 years as a 10-year-old, I dealt with it, and then my dad for 2 years. You deal with it. I'm not saying I don't feel bad that happened. I have no sympathy for him. I don't. I really just, having experienced terminal illness issues twice in my life now, and being far older, I understand it as the impetus of the story, and I like it as a story. But I think what he really needed to learn here was buck up, deal with taking care of your sick wife. He did the wrong thing. He's entirely in the wrong, way more to me than Angela and Eddie are. Angela and Eddie they're more sympathetic to me because of, like, what's happening to them. You know, Mary is in part a victim of her illness and her impending death. And that's what happens when people are sick, and you kind of gotta deal with it. What? James could have gotten a divorce? Well, I don't know. We don't see enough of what was actually happening there. I think there's a lot of open things to explore, like, you know, did he have a support system? It doesn't seem like he did. But he did have his dad. as far as we know. I don't know. Mary doesn't seem to have had anybody other than Laura, because she seems to be very lonely and nobody else seems to have come. Is that the dock? Am I finally at the dock? But either way, I just find his crime, I understand why he committed the crime, I just find it less sympathetic than, say, murdering your rapist or shooting your bully. You know? Anyway, so the Book of Job is a story about an angel named Satan who is given permission by God to test a human being named Job. And I mean, dude loses everything. Oh, there's the light. I knew there was a light somewhere. Here, turn this way. He, like, gets ill, and all his family dies, and he's poor, and he's a vagrant, and, like, all this stuff happens to him, and basically, Satan's like, see, God said this could happen. Do you hate him now? And Job's like, well, this does suck, but he's still God, I guess. And it's been a while since I read it in its entirety, but it is a story about a man being put on trial and being judged with the permission of God. And that kind of putting the two specific lines we get, while I am decaying, obviously referring, I think, to James's emotional situation and what's going on with him, and the hands that fashioned and made me now turn about and destroy me. I love that line in reference to Maria, because she is literally created for the sole purpose of being destroyed. And both of those put together kind of show that this entire experience is a Job-type trial for James, where the pyramid head is acting as his judge. Heard the story, was told it was the actual devil, i.e. Satan. This is where the confusion comes in. In Jewish tradition, there wasn't a devil, there was a Satan. Satan meaning accuser. It was a type of character, and it occurred in many different kinds of stories. And as traditions evolved and Christianity took over, or not took over, but adapted some of those stories for their own as they were becoming their own thing, especially in the medieval ages, they developed the identity of a singular angel who was Satan, which came from those older Jewish folk traditions of a Satan, the accuser. So it came from a kind of a story trope and became a specific angel. So Christians would say it was the devil. Judaism would probably be more likely to say it was an accuser. But that just makes it very interesting to me, because in my my Silent Hill 2 book and the videos that I did on Pyramid Head, I talked a lot about the Jewish concept of the judge and kind of what that means in a Jewish context, which is so much more interesting now that we know the game really is kind of setting up a Jewish context for James. I mean, there's a lot of Christian imagery, I feel, maybe, there is with Mary and Maria and some various things, but not so much, I think, as some of the other Silent Hill games. I think 1 and 3 probably have more Christian imagery, and this one seems to skew more Jewish. But, I'm gonna have to dig back into it and see. I wrote 2 pages, and then my brain farted, and I said, okay, time for a video game. Going deeper on Satan as the role of the accuser. So, it's been a long time since I've read it, but there's a book by a lovely religious researcher. What is her name? Elaine Pagels. I own 4 or 5 of her books. She does a lot of really lovely research on religion, specifically Judaism and Christianity. And one of her books is The Origins of Satan, discussing kind of how that creature, that idea came about. It has a lot to do with, like, the idea of original sin and how Christianity developed this concept of everybody is very guilty and there's evil. It was Christianity's way of explaining why there's evil in the world, because they had to reconcile the fact that God is all good and all great and wouldn't create evil, but there is evil. Their reasoning was, okay, well, there must be an opposite of God who is evil, and they found in the Jewish traditions of the Satan and the Adam and Eve story and some other places, what felt like support for their argument of there must be an evil opposite of God. Whereas in Judaism, it's more seen, there's not really an opposite of God. God doesn't really create evil. Evil really comes from, I feel like, humanity, God tends to be more of a judgmental figure in Judaism, because humans, through their stories in the Bible, in the Tanakh, what they call what Christians would call the Old Testament, they would call the Tanakh, would be, humans fucking up and God choosing them anyway. I mean, they get punished when they fuck up, but they are still the chosen people. So in Judaism, it feels a lot more like the humans are the bad guys. Whereas, they had to kind of explain why evil exists in a Christian mindset. They said, okay, the anti-God. Hey, Diana. Yeah, an evil opposite of God sounds Gnostic to me. There honestly is a lot of Gnosticism in Christianity. They just kind of shoved aside a lot of the vocabulary and some of the more extreme ideas. Like the idea that God, the creator, is himself evil, and that secretly there's a different God that's not evil. Yeah, the Christians didn't like that. Gnostics tended to be a lot more individual and independent. Like, they were like, hey, you interpret the Bible your own way, and you're your own salvation. And the church, the early Christian church, was like, we do not like that, because that meant they couldn't really control their flock and what their people believed. They had to argue that, no, you cannot interpret the Bible, you cannot go your own way, you can only become saved through the church, because we have the real power and influence and teaching of God. Because the early church, which is now the Catholic Church, taught that they were the inheritors of God's will, because they were created from the 12 apostles who actually met Jesus, and basically that they had this pedigree that said, hey, we go back to the man, y'all, so we are smart and know what we're talking about, and you should come to church. But even back then, churches varied wildly, and there's all these letters between the various early churches that are like, Sir so-and-so spoke on this Saturday about the Bible in a way that I find reprehensible. Because they were still trying to come up with what they felt was true of their religion, and even on the little details, they disagreed on a lot of things, like, did Jesus have a physical body, or was he an illusion? Did he actually resurrect physically in this world, or was he a ghost? They saw things wildly differently. Mr. James Sunderland, the videotape you forgot's being kept in the office on the first floor. Alright. Okay, so Judaism is about the inherent evil in humanity? Well, maybe not the inherent evil in humanity so much as, like, humans keep fucking up. Like, it's not so much that we're evil, I think, so much as we fuck up. But God is going to be there through and through. And how do we make up for it when we fuck up? What do we do? How do we keep going and make things right? It's been a long time since I've updated all my brain on all this, and I'm trying to reread through this, because the last time I really read about Judaism was my college days. I delved in. I had a religious ethics minor. I wanted it to be a major. I didn't quite get enough credits. But Judaism was one of my favorite things to study, because it gave me a new lens of seeing my own, faith, because that's where it came from. And I think every Christian should be made to study Judaism, because there's so much that you miss and don't know and all this stuff anyway. Yeah, I don't think it's necessarily humans are evil. It's the humans are human. Humans do human shit and they fuck up. Low-key think the Catholic Church was one of the worst things to happen to humanity, at least in the Middle Ages. See, that's the complicated thing about humans and history. It's true, Catholic Church. Thanks, Bob. You just wrote a bunch of question marks in my book, so that's helpful. They did a lot of bad shit. Still do. But also, we have a lot of things that we owe to the church in the sense of it was a place, the various monasteries, they were places that protected history and literature, and in certain cases, vulnerable people. Lots of women went to the monastery so that they wouldn't have to get married, so that they would have individual freedoms. Lots of the different various monasteries had some people that were shaken down, getting down and dirty with their fellow people. Same-sex relationships happened. Lots of, books we only have because these various monks kept them and saved them, especially in Ireland at certain points, because I think during the Black Death, a lot of the mainland European monasteries got hit pretty hard. So yeah, it is bad as an institution, but throughout the history, it's also been something of a saving grace for information, knowledge, and people that wanted to get out of traditional social norms, because you didn't have to follow, you know, specific traditions that everybody else did. When the Protestant Reformation happened, there were actually a lot of women that were pressured heavily to leave the Catholic Church. Nuns, like people that worked in the church, were pressured to leave, become Protestants, get married, and have babies. You know, be good, normal women. And these nuns left. Not the church. Well, some left the church and did what these people told them to. Many of them said, no, fuck you. I'm a nun. I'm going to go to France and keep doing my nun thing. You know, so it wasn't entirely evil. I love the ladies. That there's a story of this Protestant, I think it was an area in England that became Protestant and won over this particular area. So this group of nuns that had been pressured to leave their tradition, they all left one day in like single file line in the front of everybody in the town, watching them go, just like, fuck you guys, we are going to France to do our nun thing. Oh, want to know what I think about Lost Highway? I really enjoyed it. We didn't finish Blue Velvet, but I liked it better than Blue Velvet because it felt a little more, I don't know, a little less it was intense, but in a way that was approachable to me. I didn't feel as skeeved by it because I think that just the particular scene in Blue Velvet is just so skeevy. I had trouble getting through that scene. But Lost Highway, I loved the intense visuals and kind of the question of what the heck's going on, and then, oh, of course, that's what's going on, and it makes a lot of sense that this game was inspired by it. I greatly enjoyed it. Of the Silent Hill games that we know some of the inspirations of them, this is the one I think that pulls on the most movies. Like, the first game has a lot of folklore and children's books. The third game has some films and some books. Kind of a balance, I feel like. Silent Hill 4, I think, was a couple of Japanese books. 2 movies that I remember. This one, there's like 5 movies they list as being involved in the inspiration. You were not the first person to say that, Diana. I offered last time to fix it, and I think I was vetoed. Everybody said, don't fix it. That's an interesting thought, Phil. That makes me think of, again, Gnosticism. Gnosticism had a tradition where nobody actually had a leadership position. Whenever they did rituals, everybody drew a name out of, or basically drew out of a hat. And so-and-so would be the bishop this week, and so-and-so would do this week. And so nobody was the bishop, the blah-blah-blah, the priest. Everybody was the same level in the group, which was another thing that the early Christian church didn't like because they wanted to have power and control over everybody. And Gnostics said, nah. But that's not to say Gnosticism was exactly perfect. Oh, I think we need to go in there and see the Laura cutscene. They also had baked into their religion the idea that not every human is worthy of salvation because some of us don't have souls, which is an easy sliding slope to bigotry. I think it's kind of easy to see why early, back in those days where they were in the Roman Empire full of, sex and death and excess, why the, small outside sects that were, kind of not necessarily oppressed, I don't know that the Gnostics were, the Christians were later. But you could see where maybe they might look at Roman society and say, those people don't have souls. But not a good idea to build that into your faith.
You're here to find Mary, aren't you, James? Well, have you?
No.
If you could choose one location from an existing game to be in a new game, what would it be? Honestly, this one, I really like this location. There's no reason for it to ever show up again, but it would be kind of neat to see it again. Like, it's so intensely tied to his story, it'd be neat to see it as a different, from another perspective, as a place in Silent Hill. There's a comic that tried that, but the comic wasn't good. I think it was The Laughing Man or something. There was a
Rachel.
There was a guy that got murdered.
I took it from her locker.
Laura!
He just lets her run right past him. Like, Laura, no, wait. I don't believe that James is real. That's the real secret. He was the delusion the whole time. Okay, I don't think we can... Wait, maybe the fish opens this? Use fish on briefcase. Yay! James being a delusion would be the most David Lynch thing they could do. Ain't that the truth? That would be funny. That would be, well, that would basically be Shattered Memories. That's basically what that is, though. Dang, we reverse engineered Shattered Memories. Oops. Oh, well. Maybe it's upstairs? Yeah, I think it's upstairs. Any significance with the music boxes? So the 3 music boxes are all fairy tale figures. They are Cinderella, Snow White, and the Little Mermaid. There's actually 3 more boxes that appear when the whole thing starts spiraling, and it's 3 other little, you know, not mythic, but like fairy tale stories. One of them is the Red Shoes, one of them is Rapunzel, and one of them is the little tiny lady, the tiny girl. All of them kind of have to do with fairy tale romances, but specifically in the contents of how they ended originally, which in, you know, before the modern era when we created a lot more happy ending fairy tales, a lot of them didn't go so well. Or at the least, if they did, it was after a great deal of suffering, and somebody suffers in return for what the main character was put through. Like, Cinderella is, like, abused and abandoned, and then her sisters cut off their toes to try and wear the shoes, and they fail. And then birds peck out their eyes, so that's good. Most of them suffer really terribly for love, and I think that's kind of the idea here, that, you know, these two have suffered terribly for love, and their love story may also end incredibly poorly. What would you see in Silent Hill, Gandalf? Nothing? 'Cause you're dumb? Yes. And you've done no evil, ever. Never sinned, ever.
Are you taping again? Come on. I don't know
This
why,
video is so
but
pretty.
I just love it here.
Poor Mary.
It's so peaceful. You know what I heard? This whole area used to be a sacred place. I think I can see why. It's too bad we have to leave. Please promise you'll take me again, James.
Sad. Ugh. I only just now noticed that. He kisses her on the forehead, and then her hand comes up and pats his, comfortingly, like, "Aw, thank you, sweetheart, I love you." And then he kills her. Oh. I love you're playing this for us, thanks, now I can cry all over again. Right? I cry every time! The leave ending, the letter, ugh, it hurts me. Yeah, I never saw her hand do that before. I never noticed. It's wild that I'm still seeing new things in this. So wild. Ugh, poor Mary. And the way, this may be a stretch, but the way the top of the TV looks with the 2 candles and the plate in the middle, not the plate so much, but like the cover and the candles, like, that's a normal decoration, but it kind of also looks a little bit like the table that was in the office of the prison place that had the ritual cup. A little bit of a homage. Ugh. And the camera angles, just like when Eddie starts losing it and the camera's crooked, and when Angela has her breakdown when the monster that's like her dad attacks her, the camera's crooked. Camera's crooked again. Whenever the characters start having breakdowns.
I'm not sure.
Talk about surreal scenes.
Perhaps 6 months.
This is so hard to hear.
Impossible to say with certainty.
It's always hard to hear that about somebody. You always keep hoping. You know, one more holiday, one more birthday. Ugh. So hard. Well, Jessica says, would Laura get vengeance because Mary was going to adopt her? I don't know that Mary dying really... Like, him killing her is bad, but I don't think it had any weight on whether or not Laura would have gotten adopted because Mary was gonna die anyway. And it's really, since she was taken from the hospital and sent home, she was in hospice. She was being sent home to die with her family. Because the doctors probably said, well, this is as much as we can possibly do. You know? Comfort me. No, don't leave. You can't leave me.
Mama! Mama, I was looking for you. Larry's the only
It's
one
sad.
left. Maybe then I can rest.
Oh, you're the only one
Mama,
left?
why are you running away?
I never caught that implication. I wonder if a part of her was looking to kill her mom for her mom's role in her suffering. Because, I mean, her mom did literally tell her she deserved to be assaulted by her dad. And didn't take her with her when she ran away. Oof.
Thank you for saving me.
Oh.
But I wish you hadn't. Even Mama said it.
Yeah, Angela's story is definitely the most tragic.
I deserve.
She is one of my favorite
No,
video
Angela.
game characters of all time. I love her. And the angle, seeing it from his perspective, she is talking to us, saying, you want to save me? Well, you can't. You can't save me. So, folks are talking about, like, what happened with Angela and why. Angela's childhood was absolute hell. She was assaulted by both her father and brother, abused emotionally by her mother, and really just struggled to survive on a daily basis. Eventually, she escapes. She's working in a, fast food job she hates. The guys there all, like, are inappropriate with her, and it brings back the memories of her past. She really hates the job. She hates the guys there. And then her dad comes and finds her again and drags her back home, and she freaks out and kills him and her brother and runs away. And at some point her mom left. So she tried to create a new life and move forward, and it's kind of implied in a way because of the job and the guys, her co-workers that were cruel to her, that even if her father hadn't come for her, like, society itself was making it hard for her to move on. Again, kind of like with Eddie and the bullying, society condemned them and was not going to help them. It's kind of sad that, like, if you get the endings with, well, no, if you get the Maria ending, then Mary's the one you fight. But otherwise, Maria's the bad guy, and I wish you could kind of...
That's why I needed you. I needed
Save her.
someone to punish me for my sins. But that's all over now. I know the truth. Now it's time to end this.
Yeah. We've been talking about all the camera angles are tilted when these characters are starting to break down and lose and suffer. And then in that moment where he's clearly, his mind is clearing and he's remembering and realizing what he needs to do, the camera is slowly righting itself. It's very cool. Yeah, we're on easy mode, so defeating Pyramid Head did not take long. Yeah, the Seal of Metatron's on the carpet, which is an interesting place for it to be. What room is this in the new version of...
What, James?
I brought you some flowers.
Flowers? I don't want any damn flowers. Just go home already.
Mary, what are you saying?
Look, I'm disgusting. I don't deserve flowers. Between the disease and the drugs, I look like a monster. Well, what are you looking at? Get the hell out of here! Leave me alone already! No use to anyone. I'll be dead soon anyway. Maybe today, maybe tomorrow. It'd be easier if they'd just kill me. But I guess the hospital is making a nice profit off me. They want to keep me alive. Are you still here? I told you to go. Are you deaf? Don't come back.
She's so clearly, like, all of her words
James,
are clearly,
wait.
I feel like I'm horrible and not worth your time, so
Don't
please
go.
don't go.
Stay with me. Don't leave me alone. I didn't mean what I said. Please, James. Tell me I'll be okay. Tell me I'm not going to die. Help me.
It's so sad.
Mary?
When will you ever stop making that mistake? Mary's dead. You killed her.
Maria? It's you.
Hey,
But
swallowing
I
dragons?
don't need you anymore.
What? You must be joking. But I can be yours. I'll be here for you forever. And I'll never yell at you or make you feel bad. That's what you wanted. I'm different than Mary. How can you throw me away?
I understand now. It's time to end this nightmare.
No! I won't let you. You deserve to die too, James.
Alright. Time to get murdering. Alright, that didn't take long. I didn't think it would. Is the flesh of her back actually, like, stretched out and tied to that thing? Or is that, like, it looks like it's almost like a cowl, but yeah, that's flesh of some kind. Ouch. They made us finish her off. Yikes. Alright, what ending we getting? Get your tissue boxes!
Mary?
Oh, and the photos on the wall.
James.
Forgive me.
This part hurts, too.
I told you that I wanted to die, James. I wanted the pain to end.
That's why I did it, honey. I just couldn't watch you suffer. No. That's not true. You also said you didn't want to die. The truth is, I hated you. I wanted you out of the way. I wanted my life back.
James, if that were true, then why do you look so sad?
Mary?
James. Please. Please do something for me. go on with your life.
We got the good ending. The one that still makes
In my
me
restless
cry because this
dreams,
letter hurts so
I
bad.
see that town. Silent Hill. You promised you'd take me there again someday, but you never did. Well, I'm alone there now, in our special place, waiting for you. Waiting for you to come to see me. But you never do. And so I wait, wrapped in my cocoon of pain and loneliness. I know I've done a terrible thing to you. Something you'll never forgive me for. I wish I could change that. But I can't. I feel so pathetic and ugly laying here, waiting for you. Every day I stare up at the cracks in the ceiling, and all I can think about is how unfair it all is. The doctor came today.
Hello, Kaze. Welcome to Sadness.
He told me I could go home for a short stay. It's not that I'm getting better. It's just that this may be my last chance. I think you know what I mean. Even so, I'm glad to be coming home. I've missed you terribly. But I'm afraid, James. I'm afraid you don't really want me to come home. Whenever you come see me, I can tell how hard it is on you. I don't know if you hate me or pity me, or maybe I just disgust you. I'm sorry about that. When I first learned that I was going to die, I just didn't want to accept it. I was so angry all the time, and I struck out at everyone I loved most. Especially you, James. That's why I understand if you do hate me. But I want you to know this, James. I'll always love you. Even though our life together had to end like this, I still wouldn't trade it for the world. We had some wonderful years together. Well, this letter has gone on too long, so I'll say goodbye. I told the nurse to give this to you after I'm gone. That means that as you read this, I'm already dead. I can't tell you to remember me, but I can't bear for you to forget me. These last few years since I became ill, I am so sorry for what I did to you, did to us. You've given me so much, and I haven't been able to return a single thing. That's why I want you to live for yourself now. do what's best for you, James. James, you made me happy.
What a lovely ending. So emotional and painful and beautiful, and it makes me cry every time. Ugh. The first time I played this game after my dad passed and I got this ending, I bawled. Like, this game is so in tune with the experience of terminal illness and surviving someone, having to let go and move on. Like, ugh. And her voice is so good in this, so powerful. Definitely the best voice actor in this game. Ugh. Ugh, my heart. Oh, my heart. Thank you guys for watching. I love this game so much.